Hello and welcome to the Business Debate. I'm Sarah Lockett and today we're talking about retail payments technology. Over 250 million new internet users came online in 2015, making 3.28 billion users worldwide on more than 10 billion devices, accessing websites, services and applications 24/7. All that traffic has to be optimised for the best customer experience, or it should be. To discuss this, I was joined in the studio earlier by Paul Heywood, Managing Director and Vice President for Europe, Middle East and Africa from the Internet Performance Management company Dyn. Paul, welcome to the London Stock Exchange studios.
Thank you for having me.
Now, basic question first, what does Internet Performance Management do?
Internet Performance Management, or IPM, is all about giving organisations the ability to understand the internet, which they've become critically dependent on, being able to have greater visibility of how it's performing and how they're connecting to their users, their customers, their employees, but then also having tools at their exposure to be able to manipulate the internet and make it work for them, essentially.
And so this would make it better for the end user, the customer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always, technology should always be focused on making an impact on that organisation and however that organisation, operates. And so within the case of e-commerce, it very much needs to be an impact on, their end users, their end customers, and that customer experience, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to lead to conversion and revenue.
And so would the major international retailers, the Amazons, the eBays, would they all have this?
The difference is it's kind of the haves and the have-nots in many ways, because Amazon, eBay, as the examples you stated, they were born in the cloud. This is in their DNA. They have huge amounts of resource, focus, data, history on how the internet operates. Whereas we look at more traditional enterprises, much more brick and mortar type retail organizations, they just don't have that in-house capability today.
And so what is it? Is knowing where your customers are, how they're operating, what devices they're using? What is it?
It's really about understanding your customer demographic, first and foremost, how valuable they are and where they are. And then it's about thinking, okay, as an organization, how do I connect to them across the global internet? But then more importantly, how do they connect to me? And as an organization, the way to approach that is to have a set of tools and capabilities in-house, the Internet Performance Management platform, that allows you to say, okay, I understand how my customers are accessing me, and I understand what my points of leverage are and how I can actually improve that performance.
And if we think about where to site a company's data center, for example, isn't it just you put it in the nearest place geographically to you?
Yeah, traditionally we've operated, or the world has operated on a best guess type methodology, but the reality is the map of the internet, how the internet is connected and operates, those big undersea cables, they don't map against our map. It's a very, very different thing. And so when we're thinking about how different markets are connected across the global internet, it's very, very specific. And so you need to understand the proximity of your users to the internet rather than your proximity of users to a geographic city where you put your data centers.
And it's all about making the experience faster for the consumer. And how intolerant are they of when things aren't very quick?
I think we're all becoming increasingly more impatient. I know I am. And I think that the stat that everyone always reaches out for is Amazon will quote as saying for every millisecond of latency, which is slowness effectively, they were losing up to $7 million in revenue.
Which is an enormous number, which has made them do something about it.
It's an enormous number when you think about that's just 1 millisecond. What's 1 second going to do?
And if we think about, how much the internet is growing, the expansion, the borderless retail experience now, people have to get this right if they're going to expand.
Yeah, absolutely. And we think of something like Porter's Five Forces. We're talking about both the opportunity here as well as the threat of new entrants into the market. And if we take Asia Pacific as a region, or maybe even specifically China, that's a huge online population that we have this opportunity to engage with and really expand revenue numbers and business opportunity. But we've got to think, how do we connect to China? How do we connect to those users? How do we take our brand and make it consistent no matter who's accessing it, no matter where they are, and no matter when it is?
And why are so few organisations, do you think, getting this right, managing their internet traffic, when they're also dependent on the internet?
I think again the reality is it's the tools. You need to have that in-house capability, and you know, we really think about that as a platform approach. You have the data, you have the insight, and then you can do something about it. We refer to it as actionable intelligence.
You talk about the data. You're making a huge number of measurements every day.
Yeah, I mean the internet's a very big thing, and in total as an organisation we're making somewhere in the region of 150 billion measurements every day. And not only is that a daily measurement, we have a backlog of information that goes for well over a decade.
Paul Heywood from Dine, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.